Habari gani, karibuni, and thank you, Asanteni, for being with us here on Kumbukeni. Welcome. Today we're going to have, I'm feeling very special today, I have to admit. I am joined by two lovely sisters, so I am not the only woman on the panel today, and it feels great. I just have to enjoy that and luxuriate in it.
Stop your propaganda.
I'm feeling that feminine energy. I am loving it. Anyway, today we're joined by, before I do introduce myself, we're joined by our sisters, Sister Èzili Dantò of the Free Haiti Movement and Haitian Lawyers Leaders Network, who is a human rights and international law attorney, an award-winning playwright, performance poet, and cultural activist. And then right next to her, we have Dr. Pierre, who is an anthropologist and a professor of global race at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, and coordinator of the Haiti American Black Alliance for Peace. And we'll get into, I mean, I'm glad to have, we at Kumbukeni today wanted to have our sisters join us in the conversation, because I've never been to Haiti. Milton has never been to Haiti. Adesoji has never been to Haiti. So we don't want to join the crowds of people who are speaking about Haiti from outside, not knowing anything about life in Haiti. And it's good to have Haitians join us who know exactly what's going on and who have people on the ground who know exactly what's going on. Brothers, let's go.
I've never been, but I've read the Black Jacobins.
Listen. We have that advantage of reading, right? But you all know reading is not everything. Being on the ground tells you the true story of the struggle, right? And that's the advantage we have.
Karibuni, comrades, sisters and brothers. Welcome to our weekly global university, Chukiku, as we call it. And Milton Alimadi, based in New York City, the heart of the declining empire. Over to you, Adesoji.
Be careful, we don't deport you for saying that, but go on.
Yes, my name is Adesoji Ginla, reaching you from the heart of the biggest empire, the one the sun never sets on, the mother of all imperialists, United Kingdom.
It's truly sad to hear Africans giving these accolades to these imperialists. But go on.
And yes, as we say in Yoruba, and we have two sisters who have joined us to help enrich the conversation, as they say. The old African proverb is, for as long as the lions don't have a historian, the story of the hunt continues to glorify the hunter. So we have two lionesses in the house today to tell us about Haiti. Yes. And before we get into the conversation, we allow them to introduce themselves. Over to you, sisters.
Feel free to jump in, Dr. Pierre, Sister Dantò.
Well, my name is Jemima Pierre, and I was introduced already, so I'm happy to be here to be part of this conversation, to really shed light on what's going on in Haiti, and hopefully our brothers and sisters on the continent, will hear us and understand that what Kenya and the others are doing, including Gabon, is a problem.
I am Èzili Dantò. I run the Haitian Lawyers Leadership Network. I was born in Haiti. I went back as the attorney, a lawyer for the democratically elected president, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, in 1994. And for the last 30 years, I have been defending Haiti and essentially trying to scale up the non-colonial narrative on Haiti, which I hope to be able to share with you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's good to have both of you with us, and I'm looking forward to our conversation. So like you have all seen, and as the countdown was going on throughout the week, we're going to be talking about the Haitian intervention, which is what they're calling it, which is essentially another invasion of Haiti, right? This time led by Kenyan peacekeepers. We'll jump into the topic right away. Brothers.
Right. So I think perhaps I think each sister should tell us the state of affairs in Haiti today. And then we can talk about the proposed intervention. Yes. First, the state of affairs.
And please, if you can also give the historical background of why, just briefly, why the conditions are the way they are in Haiti.
Keep in mind, we have about an hour and 30 minutes for
Please.
I was about to say, and
please, as brief as you can.
Right. I can start. The most important thing that people need to know is that Haiti is under occupation and has been under occupation since the UN invaded and occupied Haiti from 2004 after the US, France, and Canada met in Ottawa and decided that they were going to get rid of the democratically elected president of Haiti. And by 2004, the US, France, and Canada sponsored a major coup d'etat where the US Marines landed, took Aristide, our elected president, put him on a plane and flew him to the Central African Republic. And then the US forces came in, installed a leader against the Constitution and the prime minister actually at the time. And then the two members, two of the people who were behind the coup d'etat, two other countries, the US and France, are permanent members of the UN Security Council, and then used their position as permanent members of the UN Security Council to call an emergency UN Security Council meeting, which then allowed a Chapter 7 deployment, which is a military deployment of thousands of forces into Haiti. And that became an occupation that was led by Brazil under Lula da Silva, which led the military wing, which is the role Kenya is going to play now. And then the military numbers went up to at least 13,000 military soldiers, in addition to police and civilian force. They supposedly closed down in 2017, but by 2019, but they left the mission behind. They have something called the core group that they established that has 9 members, including Brazil, members from Spain, Italy, Germany, members of the European Union, Ecuador, the US, Canada, that basically dictate all politics in Haiti. There's a BNU office. So even though they said they removed most of the soldiers, the UN office makes all the decision in Haiti. So, for example, after the assassination of the president in July 2021, it was the core group and the BNU office, which is the UN office in Haiti, that announced who the next prime minister could be. So where we are right now is an occupation where they supposedly say they called elections. So, for example, in 2011, in 2010, after the earthquake that killed 300,000 Haitians, the U.S. paid for elections. The Organization of American States participated in this fraudulent elections where they left out the largest political party, Lavalas, which is Aristide's party. And they forced these elections. And the person they wanted did not make the first round, even though only under 20% of the people voted. Right. Hillary Clinton, under Barack Obama, flew in and forced them to put this person who did not make the first round into the second round of the elections, right, and basically picked the president. And this is the political party that's been terrorizing the country since 2011. So this is where we are. And through that election, you had basically the complete dismantling of the Haitian state. There is not one elected official left in Haiti. There's no government in Haiti. So anyone that tells you the Haitian government asked for an invasion this time is lying to you, because there's no government. It's illegitimate. It's illegal, it's unconstitutional. And we are a colony of the core group and the UN. So if we don't start with that beginning, we cannot understand what's going on in Haiti. The other part is whatever violence is happening in Haiti is under the purview of the core group and the UN who run Haiti. In fact, we know that the de facto prime minister was implicated in the assassination of the president. He's being upheld by the UN and the US. And we also know that they pay some of these young men to terrorize some neighborhoods. And I don't know if you know, every time there's about to be a UN vote about whether or not to extend its mission in Haiti, the violence increases. And so we know that the UN and the de facto government are in cahoots. We know that Haiti does not manufacture guns, that these guns come in from the US through the 5 private ports that are owned by the white oligarchy, the white and Syrian oligarchy. So we know this. And so we are talking about a country that's already under occupation. And so I'll stop there and let Sister Dantò go.
And for listeners who may not be familiar, the supposed prime minister is Ariel Henry. And Sister Dantò, perhaps you can carry on with what Professor Pierre just summarized and fill in any additional information if you want. And then perhaps listeners that are listening to us are wondering, how do the core group benefit from creating this state of anarchy and chaos? They must be benefiting, of course, but it's not obvious to somebody who's not familiar with the history. All yours.
So what do we always say at the Free Haiti movement, and it's Haiti, not Haiti, is that the reason why the United States is so obsessed about staying in Haiti, keeping in Haiti, but at the same time using the racism and manufactured consent, is because Haiti has the largest oil reserve, some say, in the world. Haitian geologists, and I've been saying this for 30 years, Haitian geologists say that Haiti's oil is a swimming pool compared to Venezuela's cup of water. The most important reason, Google it so you know. They don't bring that in front, and all the academics and all of the white saviors, they keep you at this conversation of crisis after crisis.
Yep.
They keep you with regards to the only thing that the U.S. is doing is sweatshops and taking our labor, but no. Back in 1919, in the Oil Journal of the United States, they said that Haiti had a large reserve of oil. It's not new. The United States decided that this was their backyard, and per the Monroe Doctrine, Manifest Destiny, which in 2004 became Right to Protect, which now is the Global Fragility Act. This is how they take your resources. They do the bait and switch. They show you all these pictures of these dying Haitians being killed by these gangs, these paramilitary group, PH2K, which they put in office, created. Then, in order to ramp up the violence, because Haiti had the lowest rate of violence when the UN came in with a Chapter 7 shoot to kill mission, our violence rate was 3.2 in 2004. By the time they left in 2018, 13 years later, they had killed over 30,000 Haitians. They say 10,000. We say 30,000, with cholera brought in by their soldiers. We wonder if we're going to get anything from these soldiers now. They had injured or made sick over 1 million Haitians. Some people say that they left between 500,000 to 1 million babies abandoned, UN babies. And today they're having a conversation of coming back again. Why? So shock and awe, switch and bait. So the U.S. is using Kenya and William Ruto in particular, who has a corrupt background. As I understand it, he was indicted by the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity. The absurdity of a nation that has less violence than U.S. territories in the Caribbean.
Yes.
Virgin Islands has more gangs and killing than Haiti. Jamaica, and that's a U.S. territory. I want you all to Google it. Google what is the homicide rate of the U.S. Virgin Islands, and tell me why Kenya's not going there.
Interesting.
I want you to Google the violence rate in Jamaica.
Yes.
And tell me why Kenya's not going there. Why there's not a Chapter 7. Oh, forget it. Forget about that. Let's look at the United States of America. Yes. 500 mass shootings in 2023.
Thank you. Thank you.
You want to know how many people died? They keep telling you, oh, 1,500 Haitians died. Oh, my God. We white people have got to go save them.
We can't sleep at night.
Oh, my God, this is awful. What they don't tell you, 25,000 Americans have died this year alone because of gun violence. What the U.S. has brought all over the planet has come home to roost, and they make as if it's not happening.
Don't forget the Mexican cartels.
Okay, so the Mexicans are suing gun manufacturers in the U.S. for destabilizing their countries with these guns. Okay, so resources. So the U.S. decides long ago, like I said, 1919. Look it up. I've been saying it for 30 years. I just don't have echoes because they don't listen to Èzili Dantò. Not even Haitians. They can't even say my name because I'm an indigenous Haitian. I don't have any French name on me because in August 14, 1791, Bookman said, "Throw away the images of the white man's God and listen to the voice of liberty within your heart." The fact that I exist and indigenous Haitians still exist and fight and still own land, right, which you won't find in the Virgin Islands, you won't find in Jamaica. Oh my God, I hear Bahamas is joining in.
Right. Yeah, I heard that.
The violence rate of Bahamas as you check the violence rate of Haiti.
And of Kenya.
Don't even bring us.
End of
so
Kenya.
Anyways, what I am
end of Kenya. This is
end of Kenya. Yeah.
All right. So it's absurd. I have no idea where the media is, the academics are. So essentially, we have more oil. Haiti sits on about almost 4 tectonic plates, like the Middle East. It's rubbing together. The United States is in our waters. Haiti is Southcom's home. Don't get it twisted. You want to tell me the most powerful nation on the planet has these little starving Haitian men that they provide guns with, that they manipulate, sitting like 100 yards from the biggest embassy in the Western Hemisphere, and they can't do nothing about it. So I say it over and over again to the time I'm absolutely bored. If it wasn't so deadly, it would be a joke. The United States has the largest embassy in the Western Hemisphere in Haiti. I say it, no one repeats it.
And it's the 4th largest in the world.
And the 4th largest in the world, okay?
Right.
10 acres as large as China. And we know what China has 2 billion people. All right? The head of it, Daniel Mathurin, Haitian geologist, said decades ago, and they killed him in the Dominican Republic, that Haiti's oil, like I said, and oil reserves are the head of Venezuela's oil is in Haiti. The U.S. is busy taking it out, right? What else do we have? Some people say the most gold in the world. They've been taking out Dominican gold for the last 30 years, and they still haven't finished. They haven't even started in Haiti. We share the island. So they estimate 20 billion. They estimate 8 billion in copper with all the other things, right? We are land of mountain after mountain. And the one thing I am known for is educating people about the ancient Haiti history and how 66 million years ago, when Pangea was broken, an asteroid landed. That remain is called iridium. 1 ton of iridium, they say. And this is a Haitian geologist who actually worked in Kenya and South Africa, because the other reserve of iridium is the largest one is in South Africa, and the second largest reserve of iridium, what Elon Musk needs to be with his dream to go colonize space. It's the most heat resistant because it comes from this metal and the heat of it. It's the most heat resistant metal on the planet. They use it in all sorts of things. The United States, based on my investigation, back in the day, before they saw that we were investigating, they had all these U.S. military men putting out there. You might be able to still find them on, going way back, putting out papers about the iridium in Haiti, right? And Professor Vic Samar, who is also an economic person over in Ghana at some point, and then in South Africa, he says that per ounce iridium is 4,500, more than gold, more than any other metal. So we have mountains of it. The UN mission was taking it out when they were there 13 years ago. Right now, the United States needs another, because I mean, they're so ridiculous, right? They're bringing in a non-UN multinational mission that is legitimized by Guterres and his other criminals. I have a piece from long ago in 2004 that said that the UN is a criminal organization from Lumumba to Aristide. It only maintains the Bretton Woods organization and the colonist powers of the Western Europe. We thought, Haitians thought, and I was warning them that maybe Russia, because of their bitterness right now and these cousin wars in Ukraine, would have veto, but they did not. They tacitly agreed because the U.S. constantly finds a way to give them something. So we don't know what they sold us for, right? But twice I've noticed that we were sold off in the last maybe 2-3 months by the so-called BRICS powers. The first was, remember, we are that triangular, and I for those who always watch me, I apologize for saying this over and over and over again. But for those who are new, the triangular power right here, we are like that Bermuda Triangle, right? Right between Cuba and Venezuela is Haiti. Okay, this Haitian intellectuals are not talking about this. All right, only the few of us at the Free Haiti Movement and the Èzili Network. So, and Haiti is a base for the United States. Think of it as a naval base, right? Right across from us is Guantanamo Bay. They've always wanted Molson Equalite. They've had it since 2004. Okay. And then they have the largest embassy in Port-au-Prince, right? Where they say all these gangs are, right? The gangs that they arm while they have an embargo on arms so that the Haitian police, the legitimate force that they're supposedly had trained, doesn't get any resources to fight the gangs.
Right.
And now they want poor Kenya, stupid sellout Kenya, William Ruto, to come in and give them a racial cover.
Right, absolutely. So, Sister Dantò, it seems to me, and this is obviously for both of you, that the UN is finding a way of shifting responsibility and liability. And of course, as you just said, using that cover of color. But what you just broke down in terms of the summary is very similar to what's going on in Eastern Congo.
Yes,
exactly.
The narrative in corporate imperialist media is that these are tribal wars, while at the same time, they're extracting resources worth hundreds of millions of dollars every year using mercenaries from Rwanda and Uganda. So what we have in Haiti is what Kwame Nkrumah called artificial poverty.
Yes.
Deliberately manufactured by imperialism. But maybe you would like to add something to what Sister Dantò said, Professor Pierre, and then I'll take it back to Sister Nduku for her own question.
Yes, I wanted to affirm what Sister Dantò said. You know, the people always say, "Oh, you guys are crazy. Why would the U.S. want Haiti?" And you know, in addition to all the minerals, the Mole Saint Nicolas, they've been wanting that since the 1800s. In fact, they sent Frederick Douglass, who was the U.S. representative, the former enslaved person. They sent him to negotiate for that piece of land in northern Haiti. If you look at the map, which is, and Haiti kept saying no, which is why they ended up in Guantanamo Bay. That's why they have to live there. They want to be able to go through, get to the now with the impending war in China. They want to go. They want to use that to go through, get through the Panama Canal to get to the Pacific. And so we have to talk about that. But I wanted to just say two things about this UN, so-called UN mission. One of it in 2004, when the mission happened, was Chapter 7. And I want to explain that for people. A Chapter 6 deployment of so-called peacekeeping is very different.
You mean 7 or 6?
No, yeah. So there's 7. A difference between 6 and 7. The 6 they don't necessarily use force. So most peacekeeping deployments are Chapter 6. Mm-hmm. It's only Haiti and I think in the Congo that they have a Chapter 7 deployment, which means that you don't need the permission of the state to come in. You can say, you know, this country is a danger to international security.
Right.
And then you can go in by sea, land, and air, and do whatever you want. A Chapter 7 deployment in Haiti, which is why they were able to do that. And I have to also say about the UN occupation from 2004, they were dumping feces into the water that the people used to cook and eat. That's how cholera was spread.
Right.
And that to me is the most disgusting thing. And that tells you how little they think of us as human beings. So that's that. This time, the UN resolution for the 2004 deployment said that they were only going to be there for 6 months. They stayed for 14 years and they're still there. So that tells you when that Muta, what's his name, the former foreign minister, was interviewed, you know, they said this is going to be a 1-year deployment of this new mission.
Alfred Mutua
said in an interview that it's actually going to be 3 years with 50,000 troops. So that tells you they already have this in plan. But the most disturbing part about this one is this is Guterres, who I think is a racist and an imperialist, the Secretary General. You can see by the way he reacted against the Palestinians yesterday. But that's a whole other conversation, right?
Listen, yes.
So Guterres wanted a non-UN mission. But they wanted it to give the veneer of the UN, which is why all the news media is like the UN is sending a force. It's a non-UN mission. It's a coalition of the willing. It's a coalition of mercenaries. But before this, I just want to say quickly, all the treacherous people against Haitians. Before it was Kenya, the US tried to get Canada to lead the mission. Canada said no. They tried to get Brazil to lead the mission. Brazil said no. They tried to get the CELAC, the Latin American countries. Some of them wanted to, they say they didn't have the money. Then they got CARICOM, who first said no, and then they said they would send soldiers. But it was Mexico and the US that co-wrote the resolution last summer to have this non-UN mission. So let's talk about AMLO, the Mexican president that people think is a progressive. He wrote that. This time it was Ecuador and the US and Kenya that wrote the resolution. And the UN Security Council was chaired by Brazil, the same country that led the military intervention in 2004. The odds are stacked against us. And the other thing is, the only country that has, even though it's subtle, critiqued the deployment in our hemisphere is Cuba. Everyone else has been silent.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, I always say Haiti has no friends, but it's okay. But I do think we need to actually think about what a non-UN mission means, because the UN mission was already treacherous for us. It meant thousands of deaths. So this mission that's coming, it makes it seem like it was, you know, everybody's like the UN is going. So they can get away with all kinds of things. And people will be like, oh, well, it's just the UN. And they'll whitewash it. And that's the most dangerous part.
All right. So Sister Nduku, I mean, I'm turning it over to you. But at some point, I would like the sisters to also address what can friends or potential friends of Haiti do, including African countries, either individually or under the umbrella of the AU, which unfortunately is also controlled by imperialism. What can friends or potential friends of Haiti do? But Sister Nduku, go ahead first.
Before I even go ahead, just to our community, if you have any questions specifically to Sister Dantò or Professor Pierre, and Professor Pierre did ask me to call her Jemima. So if you do have questions specifically for them, do specify in the chat when you put them out who you're addressing. But if they're general, that's okay. But for those of you who've had me speak and say that we are at war and you deny it because you have the privilege of being in the comfort of a mansion, driving nice cars in a space that does not experience what our brothers and sisters are experiencing around the globe, we Africans, we Black people are at war. Whether you will admit it or not, we're at war. And it's a high time we start behaving like we are at war. To say that sitting here and listening to my sisters speak is making me angry does not even amount to the feeling I have right now. I'm not going to apologize for my emotion, because my emotion comes from the empathy I have for the people who look like me. We are at war. These imperialists, these oppressors, these human beings that want to preach democracy and kindness and love. I have people on LinkedIn telling me I'm hateful. Why am I not loving? White oppressors telling me that. These people are going around oppressing our people who look like you and I, for material things, for wealth, for greed, killing people daily, and then coming out and talking like they are nice. Oh, democracy, this. And I was reading the resolution, and it's all hypocrisy. It was so frustrating reading through it, because everything they're saying they're going into Haiti for, they do. We can charge them for the same. We indict them with the same. In fact, they are the reason why Haiti is going through what they claim they're going there to save them from.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to let you all talk, because
that is.
I want to say something I regret today.
You just summarized the experience of Africana world in the various stages, whether it was the era of enslavement, colonialism, and now you're fighting the modern version, neo-colonialism and imperialism. Adesoji?
Yes, Sister Dantò mentioned the issue of manufacturing consent, and you also touched on it when you talked about what has transpired in Congo since Lumumba's assassination, which is quite funny in the sense that we're all speaking on gadgets that have been made from materials that came out of the Congo. And for some reason, there is a yearly supply of the stuff that is in Congo, and yet that place is at war. Somehow the supply chain never seems to be impacted by, our level of consumption. And so it brings me to the issue of Kenya in Haiti. Here is the thing. Dedan Kimathi, in leading the Kenyan Land and Freedom Army, emphasized the need for speaking for self, and so, which is essentially what Haiti is doing. And now Ruto, who is a descendant, who should be a descendant of that mindset, actually said it in one of his writings there. I am a man, I'm a money man. I go where the profit lies. So the mere fact that he's been voted into power and is acting according to his basic primal instincts.
Voted.
Yes, I mean, inverted commas, yes. So, which brings me to the issue of when I hear the fact that he was the one who was chomping at the bit to go out and help the Americans with regards to what is happening in Haiti, in the American so-called backyard, where they've been since, 1919. So it's just a question of every season a new idea of what should come, how we should go about it. So the question I would like to pose to the sisters is, when we talk about manufacturing consent, we talk about the media, we've talked about, even social media space. The basic narrative that if the US is going in somewhere, you're not curious enough as to know why. That must be truly frustrating for the movement in terms of freeing Haiti. So how do you counter that?
So this is this is when you go back to your history. This is why I teach. I do 7 teach-ins for my people to give them the history, so that they understand that the Haitian before us, my mother, my great, they faced this for 2 centuries. And we're still here because they got rid of Palmares. Bill Clinton went into Yugoslavia to give it democracy. It no longer exists. And this is where they want Haiti. They want us to no longer exist. So we have to live. I will live for Haiti. I will not die for Haiti. I've been doing this my whole entire life. I've become an old woman at it. What do I say to younger warriors in Haiti is that there's going to be a new crisis every week. You can't win on the defensive. You have to step ahead of it. Like we anticipated Russia was going to do what Russia was going to do, because we lived 13 years of minister with Russia and China never vetoing that occupation, even after they gave us cholera, right?
Exactly.
All right, I'll tell you some specifics. So this is really important that young Africans understand, so that they're not confused, because the media, the entertainment world will give you this whole Jesus, white savior, Superman, Tarzan narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And they come as NGOs now, where in the decades and centuries before, they came as missionaries. They take all your stuff and they leave you with the Bible. In Haiti, this is what they do, right? But they come as NGOs, right? And once you go into an NGO, you can't do any politics, and they got you.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they did after the civil rights movement in America, right? So you have to understand their tools. So let's get some specifics. So in terms of those who, I go through it, obviously, I've lost many, many, many people. When we started in 1994, there was 250 Haitian American lawyers and 50 Haitian lawyers. Today, we just stumbling along. The United States bought most of the top lawyers that were with me. As a matter of fact, one of them became the head of the minister mission, Carl Alexander. He was deputy mission director, right? So I've lived through this, and I can't tell you how many folks that have died. Father Jean-Just, I can't tell you how many demonstrations I've gone to, even though I don't believe in demonstration, but just to be in solidarity. And then the person next to me got shot by some sniper in the head and dropped, and the people continued. This is who we are. And so we live for those who have fallen. That's all I do, to respect them. Jean Ristil, Yvon Point du Jour. I've represented as a lawyer two very great Haitian freedom fighters, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, and they deported him like they did Toussaint Louverture. Mm-hmm. They kidnapped him and deported him to Africa, right? Where was the world? Okay. They have at our border the Confederate State of the Dominican Republic, the Lebanon or Israel of the Caribbean, right? And they are killing Haitians like we were just insects. But we have a legacy. We have Jean-Jacques Dessalines. We have the Dahomean warriors. We have the Congo warriors. We know who they were. Mambo Inan, the priestess that no one talks about, that was at Boakaima or Bokai Mambo Inan. Her greatest template in my mission at the Èzili network is in the Kinkongo language of Kanga Mandele, Kanga Bafioti, Kanga Najoki, Kanga Yo. That's Mambo Inan, descendant of Queen Nzenga.
Yeah.
She said, and this is the template for the only successful revolution against white dominance and racism on the planet. We actually lasted for 2 years before they killed Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Someone mentioned about the Jacobins. All that Marxist stuff destroys the idea of who we are. Let me tell you why. First of all, our founding father is not Toussaint Louverture. That's what the Black Jacobins tells you, essentially. I mean, they just kind of footnote Dessalines in there. Our founding father is Jean-Jacques Dessalines. He gave Rochambeau and the Napoleon army their asses. The reason the United States is a superpower it is because of Jean-Jacques Dessalines beat Napoleon's forces. And they had to sell the Louisiana territory with triple the size of the United States and made it a superpower. Let's recognize. Jean-Jacques Dessalines said, I will give you terror for terror. He wasn't playing. If he did not, I would not be here. Because the French were still in Haiti even after we won. And we had beat not one, but 3 European enslavers. The British, the Spanish, and the French. And the French twice. So, Mambo-Inan comes from the Congo. They understood that whatever deal the Eurasians make with Black people, they are a warmongering people. Wherever they come from, they still don't know after 6,000 years. But we know we don't come from apes. But they tell us, right, that they're civilized. And, you know, she said, we have to get rid, Kunga Mandele, we have to get rid of the stranger. Because this stranger came onto the planet filled with people of the sun and put trinkets and monopoly and hoarding above human life. So she said, Kunga Mandele, we stand for that at the Free Haiti movement. When I do my work, I know the Bafioti, which was a group of, you know, now Kenya is competing to be the new Bafioti of this century, right? To be the slave catchers for the European. So we're the slave, and they've come to be the Bafioti. The Bafioti in the Haitian in King Congo was the Black collaborator. Right. So at the beginning of the War Council that began the Haitian Revolution, this woman, this warrior from the Congo, who said we got to do 3 things, and this is what we stand for. Kunga Mandele, Kunga Bafioti, Kunga Njoke. We have to stop, neutralize, kill the colonists. Stop, neutralize, kill the Black collaborator. And stop, neutralize all his evil forces. And what are his evil forces? Neely Fuller, as I always say, because people might understand him a little bit more because they never heard of Mambo-Inan. Because we are written out of history. But when we went to war, Africans, and this is, we must understand, study, because the U.S. and all these Eurasians, they study the Haitian Revolution. First guerrilla warfare, war. They study it. We actually don't. We don't know anything about Mambo-Inan. That's why that's the legacy we're living as Free Haiti. We're elevating the women of the Haitian Revolution, but we want to tell you that a family, because a family went to war. Not Dessalines, Christophe, Pétion, and Boyer, the 4 you learn about in your school. A family went to war. And if Africa wants to survive these Neanderthals, they will teach the children that a family has to go to war.
Exactly.
So that family that went to war had a plan. They understood what Njoki means. His evil forces are same things today. His religion, his economic system, his media, his war machine, his human rights organizations. Every level of human activity is used by him for dominance. And so that's what I stand for. That's what the Èzili Network stands for. We saw that when these men and women went to war, this is how it was done. And you won't learn about it in the Black Jacobins or any of these academics writing. But Africans are not stupid the way they want to tell you that, you know, we're stupid enough to believe that the United States, who you see on the TV every day with the slave catcher police killing Black people in America, are so worried about Black people in Haiti. Like, who the hell? If you
or in Niger.
Really, honestly. Okay. So That is the template. Kanga mandele, kanga bafioti, kanga no joki. And there is nothing that comes out of the white man's mouth, as Dr. Henry Clark says, that's not about domination, period. So Dessalines actually understood that in a way that Toussaint Louverture did not. Toussaint Louverture came from a royal family in Alada in what's now Benin. So he was used to a heritage of negotiating, and he was a great general. He played those commissioners like crazy. We don't play anybody. The Haitian politicians will kill their firstborn to get an invitation to the U.S. Embassy for a meeting.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Dessalines told them, you know, I am the son. Okay, let's understand this. This is what we teach at Free Haiti. We don't deal with any of the ideologies because we already have Mambo Inan. We already have why Haiti is still alive today. And I'm going to tell you those things because it's actually there in Africa too. Yeah. But it's subsumed by all this other Jesus and Western crap.
The poison.
So we have in Haiti, we always knew for a long time until recently, until the last 30 to 60 years, my grandmother already knew that the only thing the state did was come and tax them, but didn't provide anything, any service. Mm. You understand? So they knew that they had to take care of themselves. And they did that through these three things. La coup, which is once they came out of enslavement, they wanted to live with family because their family was taken from them. Their children was taken from them. They didn't want to work in these large plantations that they just fought 300 years to get out of. Right. So in Haiti, we have la coup, which are homesteads where family live together and the land is communally transmitted to descendants of that la coup. We have something called vivre. It's a philosophy that says self-defense is a human right. You have the right to life.
Yes.
We have the other philosophy, jardin, something that came out of slavery too, where they didn't give us food back in the plantation days. They gave us a piece of land. And on Sunday, you had the time to go and cultivate your jardin. We still have that. Jardin. We make our food at the la coup, right? And that's how we have been able to survive. Combit, la coup, vive, jardin. The constant Port-au-Prince taking in a Bafiotti, putting them in office, and then they spend their time doing, Games of Thrones. Like, but the Haitian peasantry is not about that. So once I saw that, number one, we don't know our history. We don't know who these women are. We see the Madame Sarahs. We see the women in the marketplaces being the economic backbone of Haiti and Africa, but we have no clue because we're trying to engraft upon them this European system.
Right.
So for me, I want everyone to understand that the European enslaving powers don't change their template. They play hero and villain. Mm-hmm. They set fire to your house and then they put on a red
and the firefighters
fire out. So they play, okay. So give you the latest example because I could go on here forever. Okay, here's the latest example. Okay, the United States, agents of the United States on July 7th, 2021, assassinated Haiti's president. Agents of the United States.
Yes.
And then today they're bringing that, and then that made the gangs who belong to these powers that they put in. They went viral. They metastasized and all of that. But they're all mostly in Port-au-Prince, not where the la coups are, like they telling you. So, if you look, and then the United States, who helped kill Jovenel Moïse, came down to Haiti to investigate.
Right.
And took all the evidence back with it.
They took all the evidence, and now they have in Miami all of the suspects that they hired. In the New York Times, for those who wants to see, co-conspirators were told that the plot to kill Moise was a CIA operation and that it had the full support of the United States.
Yes.
But even if I didn't know that, I knew they did it. Even if I don't listen to the New York Times, but even if I couldn't quote the New York Times, right? 1 week after this thing done, I wrote, right, what had happened. Jovenel Moise went to Russia because even the puppets at a certain time, they get some sort of like desaline blood in there. And they're like, oh my God, I want to do something for my people, right? So he was trying to do electricity for his people. But then you have the most, Haiti is the place that has apartheid worse than South Africa, because at least in South Africa, it was acknowledged.
Right.
Yeah.
But the apartheid in Haiti is not acknowledged. Less than 1% of the population owns 98% of the wealth. They own the ports. Gilbert Bijou, who was sanctioned by Canada, is the most wealthy man in the Caribbean.
He's Italian.
A billionaire. He owns La Sûreté d'Haïti, which is about steel and taking out Haiti's wood. But of course, you know, when these NGO people are talking and getting their funding, they say it's the poor peasants who are burning charcoal.
Right.
This guy is taking out more than 2-3 billion a year. All right. Haiti's marble is lining up all the Mick mansions all over the world. Haiti, but our people are dying. 200 per day are drowning. The Mahafa continues for Haiti, and we have no friends, right? Yeah. So the agents of the United States that are in jail right now, including the Colombians who were trained by U.S. forces, right, are from the CIA, FBI, and of course, you know, when they went to his house that day, the way they supposedly got the security people to put down their guns is by saying this is a DEA operation, and the guy who just pleaded guilty is a DEA informant. So there's no way. So how in the world doesn't Russia know this, or China?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
For all of you people in the Sahel, holding hope that somehow they're going to be there for you. Remember, they were not there for Gaddafi. They were not there for Mugabe.
Exactly.
Or Libya.
Exactly.
Right.
All right. So my people, I'm telling you, you must face the devil, not become what he is.
Exactly.
But still fight back. It is in action that we are going to win, because nature doesn't like this ugly. And we are the people of the sun. We've been here for millions of years. We're not going nowhere.
I'm glad you said that quickly, Alimadi. I'm glad you said that. But hold on. You reminded me of something when you said not become like them. Mama Winnie Mandela, before she passed away, she was saying she fears that we are becoming like them. Everyone, just hold on to that thought. Alimadi.
Okay, very good. So your sister, Dantò, you dropped a lot of gems. Critical to me is how similar the exploitation of Haiti is very similar to what's going on contemporary Congo.
Yes.
You know, all the other narratives to divert, confuse. And then it brings me to and then of course the Moise Chombes and the Blaise Compaorés who are always there to undermine the people trying to head us in the right direction. So Sister Professor Pierre, perhaps you can also add in terms of addressing, Walter Rodney said, the system always finds answers. The system always adapts to the new conditions. After so-called independence, they installed Africans with European minds and European aspirations. So how can we try to preempt some of these answers as we deal with the situation facing the Africana world, but specifically today, we're discussing Haiti.
Yeah.
What are some
Yeah, that's a hard question, but I appreciate Sister Dantò's, Èzili Dantò's retelling of this history, and I think that's one of the things. The more I talk about Haiti, the more I think she's right in terms of saying we should not be in a defensive posture all the time and to recall this important history. One of the most distressing things, besides seeing Africans wearing, African lawyers and stuff with their wigs on, with their British wigs.
Oh, no, please. Oh, no. I tweet about that every day.
Go
ahead. Is the loss of history, the loss of the history of our people, the refusal to see the connections and to make the connections. I have a friend who, I have a colleague who's with the Friends with the Congo, and every time I talk about the core group, he's like, "Oh yeah, the Congo has a core group too." And I said, "Well, why don't we come together and talk about the problem of UN so-called peacekeeping in the U.S.?" And I think one of the things, as we were saying before this broadcast started, the media, as Malcolm X says, will have you hate the oppressed and love the oppressors, right? And the on the African continent, the media source is the CNNs, the BBCs, the Voice of Americas, and so there's an inability to get actual news. But the education system, which began with the missionaries, which reduced our languages to nothing from a variety of things, right? You have this education system that completely debases Africans, debases African knowledge production, and so on and so forth. And then you have the post-colonial leaders after the revolutionary ones were killed. We know every single revolutionary African leader was either killed or deposed. And so where we are right now is an education system, I think on the African continent in particular, but also within the diaspora, that is an aping of European knowledge structure. Absolutely. So we don't learn the history we learn about ourselves, the history written not for us, right? And so, and I've been all over the continent. I write on West Africa. That's actually my original research work. But what you realize is, when you open up a textbook where it says the benefits of colonialism, right? They'll say the benefits and the negatives of colonialism. This is like, junior high school textbooks in some African countries, textbooks that are written
and Africans
because of neoliberalism and liberalization. The textbooks are outsourced and then sent back to Africa. So I think I think it's important that Sister Èzili Dantò talked about Haitian history, because I think one of the first things that we need is for people on the continent to actually know what Haitian history is. Haitian history is more than coups d'etats and what the media is showing you. It is the first independent, free Black nation in the modern world that destroyed European colonialism and slavery and white supremacy. So one of the key things we have to remember, Haiti has never stopped paying for defeating the Europeans. So that's one aspect of it. And the other thing is the fact that in this so-called post-colonial moment, they've always used collaborators. Right. And I think we need to re-educate ourselves and figure out how to get rid of collaborators, because colonialism would not have happened without Black collaborators. Absolutely. Slavery would not have happened without Black collaborators. Exactly. And so we have to think about the media consent. We have to teach our children differently, but we also have to know what's going on right now. And I want to come back to this moment, because this will be, and for Kenyans watching this, this will be the 10th armed foreign military intervention into Haiti in 30 years. It's the same people invading Haiti for the past 30, the 10th one.
So one for every 3 years.
Yes. So we in 30 years, the entire Haitian state has collapsed, because we've had no elections, no regional elections, nothing. They know exactly what they're doing, because I think Èzili Dantò also point this out. Haiti is the only place in the Caribbean where the peasantry still own their land. There was a story in the media last week where Jamaicans were complaining that they no longer have access to their beaches because everything has been privatized. Yeah. They do that. There's a part in Labadie, northern Haiti. They privatized that, blocked us off from our own beach. They want to do that for the entire island. They want to take our land away from us. Unlike Jamaica, most people in Jamaica, they don't own their land. In these places, they don't own their land. Haitians, it's still, the majority of the Haitians are rural people owning their land. So we have to remember this. We have to remember and claim this history. We actually have to really talk about the anti-Haitianism that has been bred by the colonists against Haitians. So you had the Bahamas treat Haitian migrants worse than the U.S. Let's remember that.
And Africa refusing to take them into the African Union.
The Bahamas deport Haitians and treat Haitians worse, sometimes even the Dominican Republic.
Right.
Just recently, the Jamaicans,
they're killing us there.
Yes, Jamaicans, there were Haitians, a group of Haitians that landed in Jamaica, a couple months ago. They put them on trial and fined them and then deported them back. These are the same CARICOM countries that say they care about Haiti. They've been embarrassed by Haiti because they fell into the trap of the colonialists from the revolution, where they're saying, oh, these savages are killing whites and they're eating people. I mean, there's a New York Times headline from 1919 saying, the peasants ate a U.S. Marine. Cannibalism. So because of voodoo, because of our language difference, because of our darkness, because we look more African, there's an anti-Blackness, anti-Haitianism within the Caribbean, within the Black world, that's amplified by the Western media. And because if there was no hatred towards Haitian, if other Black people did not see us the same way that white people see us, they see us as savages, they would not go along with this. Right. And the real savages get to go around and destroy the world.
Yeah.
The real gangsters. The truth is, what people need to know, the real gangsters, the biggest gangsters in Haiti are the UN office, the core group, the United States government. Those are the biggest gangsters, and those are the gangs we need to eradicate from our land.
Comrade Adesoye, you always have my book near you.
I thought about it when you said that. You're right.
I was going.
You can hold it up. Just
actually, I was gonna.
I
was gonna mention it. I was gonna mention.
Yes, great book.
No, thank you. Because obviously, we need to decolonize our minds.
We have to.
As
We must.
Ngugi said in his book, Decolonizing the Mind. The self-hatred is tremendous. We police ourselves and we collaborate in our own demise. And in terms of the Europeanness, as Fanon said, if we want to emulate Europe and become like Europe, why don't we leave it to the Europeans to do it for us?
Exactly.
Since they are the best at doing it,
And also, to add to that, Ngugi wa Thiong'o in his book, Something Torn and New, also said, the problem is our memories have been replaced by theirs. So we're already acting the way they're acting. Yes. And so, which takes me back to what Sister Dante said earlier, which is the idea of study. You cannot get liberation without studying.
Exactly.
There is no shortcut to it. There is just no. I mean, if you don't know what it is you are fighting, how can you fight it? How?
And I think the sister addressed that also in terms of the people who are responsible for setting up the curriculum now.
Exactly.
Professor Pierre spoke about some of the content in the books in African countries. My own students here at John Jay ask me after I teach them about Sankara, about Nkrumah, about Modibo Keita, about Lumumba. They ask me, Professor, how come we don't learn any of this in high schools? These are from African countries. My students from Senegal, from Ghana, from Nigeria. So it is chilling, but it also at least informs us about the level of challenge that we face.
Yes, but Adlimadi, as you say that, I'm going to say this because I am not one who shies away from announcing my plans before they come into fruition. You have my word. I mean, the reason we started Kumbukeni was so that Kumbukeni literally is a Kiswahili word that means remember, right? We go back to our history. And because YouTube, you have Kenyans, you have people in Africa who have access to a phone and have access to YouTube, even if they don't have access to anything else. And this is a way to reach the masses. But also you have my word and the word of the communities that I'll be a part of, that we are going to put out this information in languages, in African languages, that people can read and learn this history. It is upon us to seek that history. It's upon us to keep that history. It's upon us to put that history in languages that Africans everywhere can understand. So as we talk about it here, just the 5 of us, we know we are going to do the work of going back into history and teaching it. We already are doing that, and we'll continue that work. And what we ask of the community is to support us. I saw Brother Langston say that he's willing to support you. And I should have said Mama Dantò instead of calling you sister. You're my elder. I take that back, Mama Dantò. He's willing to help you, and I can get him in touch with you if you need that help. He is studying law currently. We must take the solutions into our hands. We have, and we need to stop this Western mentality of, oh, what am I getting back from it? You don't have, what you're getting back from it is freeing your people, even if you're not paid money. Sometimes it's not about the money. It's about our liberation. So let's all get to work, because like I said, we are at war, and the solutions must resemble the threat. We have to be serious about this. And this small infighting amongst ourselves, we have to forget it. And we have to focus on the price. Brothers, sisters.
No, well, sister, I just want to tag on to what you said. And then maybe we can read some of the useful comments that have been posed.
I'm glad you said that, right? The trolls are trolling, ignore them, let's keep moving.
That could get some reactions from our guests today. But I also want to say, you say sometimes there's no direct compensation from the struggle. But in a way, there is as well, because if we are alert enough to be able to protect our resources, then we can use our resources to improve the lives of our people rather than enriching everybody else around the world.
Thank you for saying
I like pointing out to people that in 1960, for example, the per capita income of Ghana was double that of China. But now China controls its sovereignty a bit better than in the past. In the last 50 years, has managed to use Africa's resources to improve the standard of living of people in China. So once we can raise our consciousness and know what we need to do to protect our resources, I mean, this is the first time I'm having this extensive conversation where I'm hearing about the extensive resources that Haiti possess. I mean, I'd heard bits here and there, but not as extensively as in today's conversation.
And in detail
that is
as
also
well.
the benefit of today's conversation. So maybe we can go to some of the comments, and then our guests may also have some closing.
And please, this is a very very organic conversation, so just jump in. There's no formality. We have the time to reach the masses, so as I look through the questions, feel free to speak. Let's not follow formality. Let's go back to our African ways. You have the urge to say something, the ancestors are speaking through you, please speak. I will go through the other comments now.
So I was going to mention with regards to the so-called gangs, when did this problem first of all rear its ugly head in Haiti?
Well, I think Èzili Dantò could answer that better for the most recent period, but I want you people to go and do just basic research. The U.S. has been calling anyone who, there are two different histories. One of them is like from the first occupation where the U.S. sent the Marines and occupied Haiti from 1915 to 1934. Right. And for people who don't know, the first time aerial bombing, where you can drop bombs from airplane, happened in the world was in Haiti. The U.S. dropped bombs on the peasants that were resisting the occupation, 1919. You can look that up, right? But they call these peasants, the Kako movement, the people who are resisting occupation, they call them bandits and gangs. So the language of gangs and bandits has been around for a long time.
Okay.
Right. And then you have also, after the U.S. occupation left, they left the gendarmerie. And then they also, remember, they supported the 30-year dictatorship of the Duvalier regime. Jean-Claude Duvalier, Papa Doc and Baby Doc.
Baby Doc, yeah.
And their military police, the Tonton Macoute, right? And so then after that, after you get rid of these, you have where the Tonton Macoute were used. Then you have when people would you have the deployment of the elite using young people to actually go after their enemies or protests and so on and so forth. And especially after the Aristide, once they removed Aristide out of there, after Aristide disbanded the police, a lot of these police were actually reincorporated. A lot of these military were incorporated by the core group in the US into so-called Haitian police. You have like different people, groups of people being deputized. And so there's a long history, and I think Sister Dantò can tell us more, of using different groups, the elites using small groups of young men because there's no money, right? So, you have these guys walking around with flip-flops, carrying on AK-47s, right? So that tells you, using deputize them to go shoot up, especially the Aristide strongholds in the poor neighborhood, to go after them. And that's what they did in 2004. They killed thousands of Aristide supporters who were protesting against the removal of their presidents, and they called them gangs. Up until even 2 years ago, when there were hundreds of thousands of Haitians on the street asking for the removal of Jovenel Moïse, and even later Ariel Henry, Henry called them gangs and said it was the gangs that were behind these protests. And so now they're funding very specific groups of young men that are right near the embassy, like 400 Maozo, is right next to the U.S. embassy, right? So where did they get the ammunition? Like, the truth is, if you just stop the ammunition flow, you won't have a problem. And so part of this, like, it's an expansion of a long system of using different groups to terrorize the population. But now I think because there's been so much protest against U.S. intervention, that they basically stepped it up, and really, they stepped it up both in terms of media, right? Can you imagine having the amount of media that we have about Haiti and gangs? If we had the same amount of media coverage of U.S. mass shootings, right, of the cartels in Mexico, of the fact that Jamaica has been under a state of emergency for the past 2 years because of gang violence, right? And so if we had the nonstop media coverage, so it's a combination of media coverage, the same way that they have for Ukraine, right? Like the nonstop media coverage, right? In addition to the fact that they've dumped almost 1 million like big arms into the country. They're coming from the US. And so that's what it is. And I also wanted to just quickly, and I know we're going over time, is that—
No, you're good.
The reason why they're insisting, the reason why this is happening is because it's nonstop resistance by Haitian people. We have to remember this. It's been a nonstop response, nonstop resistance. They cannot cower us, no matter what they've done. And that's what it is. So that's what we should celebrate. That what this is, that's why the move to get Kenya is a desperate move, because they cannot figure out how to subdue the Haitian people. And they've tried everything.
Perhaps we could actually touch on that. What are the possible reactions that we can anticipate?
But before we do, Mama Dantò, because Dr. Pierre did ask you that, but quickly, to speak on that, but quickly, my thing, and I didn't want to make this the focus of the conversation because I love where it has gone so far, the education you have provided, the history.
Right.
The Kenyan troops will probably not return home. Chances are they will not return home.
Yeah, and I just want to quickly say, I heard your foreign minister talking about the first thing they're going to do is teach them French.
That's laughable. Thank you for saying that.
The majority of Haitian people don't speak French. We speak Creole. We speak Haitien.
And it takes Dr. Pierre to teach Kenya. Kenya, a whole country with a president who should have this information. They should have someone who is hired
Haitian
to learn
don't speak
culture
French.
everywhere.
I don't speak French. I speak Creole. I speak Haitien. So let's know this, right? That's the first thing. But the other thing is, Haitians also know how treacherous their other brothers and sisters can be. And so they're not happy with this idea of having these Africans. And I don't know, there's a letter circulating, I don't know if you saw this, from about 60 Haitian organizations to the African Union asking, how could a brother country, and I want to just read a couple words, like, brotherly countries of Africa, of the Africa of our ancestors. It is imperative to act in such a way as to prevent any country on the African continent from playing the role of a sounding board for former colonial slave-owning and imperialist powers. From now on, Africa's active solidarity with Haiti should be the watchword. Africa embodies the roots of Haiti. In the name of this solid link, in the name of what Haiti symbolizes, in the name of Pan-Africanism, a movement of solidarity for the emancipation of Black people throughout the world, Kenya must not choose imperialist servitude over Pan-African solidarity. This was a letter written by over 60 organizations to the African Union against Kenyan intervention.
Right. Please forward us a copy of that.
Yes, and
we'll publish it too.
Yes,
but go ahead, Sister Dantò.
And also, and I will let Mama Dantò speak. Also, first of all, we know the AU is a useless entity as far as defending Africans globally.
Right, it's not the OAU.
Right? It isn't what it was meant to be. We know that it has been infested. There's a parasite that came in, and it has its tentacles all through the AU.
Parasite is the money.
Right. So this is a message. That letter goes to African people. That letter goes to Kenyans. You have a responsibility here to hold this government accountable. We can all sit and blame Ruto, but that's our country, not Ruto's country. Ruto is one individual. That government is small compared to the Kenyans. You must rise up and stop this action. We must speak Kenyans everywhere. We have diasporas. I'm a member of them, and I will be a pain in your behinds for the next few days and weeks. It will be a daily morning. Let's stop Haiti, or let's stop Kenya from invading, because it is invading Haiti.
Okay, well put.
It's nothing else bad. Mama Dantò, please.
So, as all of you have been saying, I don't know if I really have anything else to add, but for Haitian, we are at war. We are at war. The Black woman and the Black men's children are destroyed for the last 1,000 years, since the Neanderthals came out of their caves. But if someone wants to deal with the system, which we don't deal with anymore, I've sued the UN for bringing cholera to Haiti. I've sued the UN for bringing for abandoning children. We've gone after their pedophiles, which has been so extensive, to the point that a lot of these gang members are descendants or people of minister that did not have a father, that were left to the peasant mother who was raped, or who thought perhaps they could have some economic leg up by these to be with it. Now we have another force. Like I said, all it is a cover so that the United States can put on a multinational uniform and continue to do its plunder. While, remember, every time, and this is a fact, every time there's a new military force that comes into a nation, the violence rate goes 15%. The rape goes up. So that's what we are against. And any Haitian who sits around not knowing history, like Representative McCormick, who they're using right now.
I'm glad you said her.
Is a clueless Bafiote. And I hope that, just like Marlène Bastien, this is the opposite of McCormick, right? Marlène Bastien, who's been out here as long as I have, even though she hasn't done the colonial imperialism, she's definitely been involved with immigration and TPS. But she stepped out of that circle, not knowing that I call them the demon rats and the Republicans, knowing that this duopoly with the people with two faces, may not finance her next campaign. But I want to acknowledge that there are Haitian elected officials in America who have told Biden, you will not be getting the Haitian American vote if you continue on with this military intervention. On the other hand, we have this young, clueless Haitian, right? Funded by the
Haitian American,
who essentially is their spokesperson for this Kenya bringing in. And there's like, oh, it's got to get better. She has no clue about what I'm saying with regards to how the violence rate goes up and it never goes down. Remember, it was 3.2 in 2004 when they came to give us justice. When the U.S. ambassador put out Guy Philippe and they called him freedom fighter.
Freedom fighter
is a drug dealer and a paramilitary. Just like right now, you have some white saviors like Kim Ives and Glenn Cohen saying in Redacted, this progressive white organization, speaking for us and telling us that some of these gang members, especially Cherizier, created by Ellen Lalume of the UN, U.S. ambassador to the UN, Ellen Lalume. And this is it too. The demon rats are always using gender, sexual orientation, and race as a tool. As a tool against us. And we don't seem to understand So if you look at Biden, his spokesperson is a Haitian woman.
Right. Haitian American.
Right?
Yeah.
Haitian American. So this is where we are. They put all of these Black collaborators up front. And then they tell you they have consent. And yet I hear from Kenya, I'm not sure, but I hear from Kenyan folks that they haven't voted this in. How could they?
Right.
Haven't.
I mean, when you talk about an example of manufactured consent, this is textbook, right? The country has not even voted to have this force. But the UN, including, because if Russia and China wanted to try to just do something for the world, they could have said, hey, we'll wait until they vote.
Absolutely.
But no.
And they've been vetoing this for the past 2 years, and then they just
because some people say that as these cousins fight, the United States decided they're going to hold back on funding for Ukraine, so that maybe gives Russia more votes. So they abstained. That's what Haitians are saying. You know, I don't try to get in the minds of these Neanderthals. I know who they are. That's going to give me an aneurysm. And I already got high blood pressure from months and years of this work.
Yes.
So I just want to give you some of the things that we tell the people on the ground that are part of the Èzili network, because it takes everybody. In the Haitian Revolution, it began with overseers.
Right.
So even those who are part of the system can change.
Yes.
Because Bookman was a commander. Biassou, Papillon, commander. Okay? You don't have to tell the white man what you're going to do when you're in their system.
Thank you. No, please.
Number one,
listen.
Can you repeat?
Go there.
Can you repeat that part, please? That last
Do
part.
not go there. Some of us play differently. Go on, Mama
Can you
Dantò.
repeat that last part?
Some of us want to be loud.
No,
and proud.
let's keep that for a future conversation.
I'm
Let her finish. Let's keep that for a future conversation. Let her
All
finish.
right,
You're
so
running out of
listen,
time.
right? I've had 6 assassination attempts, okay? And they don't want my voice. But so while I'm still alive, and in the name of those with us that have fallen, we know that they want to depopulate Haiti.
Yes.
But even if they don't get to do that, what they're doing with the digging, there's 2 fault lines in Haiti that's about to go. And the whole region would go if that fault line goes. I want you all to pay attention to that. Because as the Neanderthals are constantly digging and trying to get their resources and doing all kinds of covertous acts like this clandestine act of the UN. I mean, how shameful. And that's all I've asked, because I've dealt with the UN since 2004 and before that in 1991 when Aristide was in exile. They need to fall. 193 nations and 5 have veto power over everything that the 193 nations do. That is not democracy.
The UN needs to be dismantled.
All right.
Dismantled.
They tell you what they're going to do, right? In 2004, they had the Ottawa Initiative, and it said that Haiti was going to have a population of 20 million by 2019, and there was a bomb waiting to happen, and they needed to stop it. They told you, look it up. That's the Ottawa Initiative. Now they have the Biden program, and as Dr. Pierre was saying, the only reason they bring all this force against us is because my people fight back. You just don't hear our voices. You don't hear Èzili Dantò, right? You hear Miss McCormick on CNN. So every nation on this planet, Western nation, has come as one fist, except US, these are the core group, France, Canada, Spain, Germany, Brazil.
Don't forget the UK, right? Please.
And then they have 3 organization that has all of their criminals in it, right? The UN, the OAS, and the EU. That's the core group. That's it. They rule Haiti right now. If there's gangs in Haiti, it's because they've been ruling Haiti since 2004. Okay, they are the chief gangs.
Yes.
Okay, and they have the nerve, right, to negotiate with their billionaire oligarchs that they've given the overseer jobs to, like Bijou and Accra and Merv and all of those folks who own the ports, right? And they've sanctioned them. In what world do you hire they say Gilbert Bijou, just look him up, hires the gangs. So these paramilitary groups, I don't call them gangs, right? Because this is how they get us, because they control the words, the narratives, right? So they're not gangs. These are paramilitary groups, right-wing paramilitary groups. Mm-hmm. They have, and then, you know, you do have Haitians who are fighting against them in some of those neighborhoods. So what is the answer? Years ago, I think it was like by 2004, I was so exhausted. 2014, I came up with the 3 Èzili Dantò points for a new world, so that not this generation of Haitians, a lot of them are not worth the skin. The next generation, that just like the Abdaraya Toya Dahomian warrior, when she was taken as an enslaved woman, she was a soldier in the Dahomian army. When she got to Haiti and she saw some of the pacification, she decided, and this is the 2 greatest generals of the Haitian Revolution. Remember that as you have children, you either going to just have them and goo goo gaga with them, or you're going to create warriors.
That's okay? A good message.
She went and she created a warrior. It was a free Black man that bought Henri Christophe and treated him like a son. He married his daughter. So 2 Black men helped take out of slavery these enslaved people who became the greatest generals. Henri Christophe the Builder and Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Who are you raising? What are they going to be? This revolution was a family going to war. Abdaraya Toya, the mother figure for Jean-Jacques Dessalines, knew she might lose this son, right? Henri Christophe was bought out of Grenada because Haiti was a place that you came to die, because it was the pearl of the Antilles for the French, which means that they were making more money than all of the British 13 U.S. colonies made ever. And how they did that, they worked us to death. So our lifespan was from 3 to 6 years. Bookman, after the Taki Rebellion in Jamaica, they sold him to Haiti. He remembered his mother. He remembered Nanny. And he grew to be an overseer in the system. And then he was coupé tête, boulé kai, burned the plantation and cut their heads off. That was Bookman, the overseer. And then we had, like I said, free Blacks who had businesses in Cap-Haïtien, like Henri Christophe's adopted father, who bought him out of slavery and taught him how to be. He became a builder. He built the citadel, the greatest edifice that's still standing. Of course, the Europeans and all of the others that came let it rot. But he had a whole kingdom. And his wife, Marie-Louise, ended up in exile. I think there's a movie coming out about her. But so what I'm saying is that we don't know our history. For we do 6 teaching a year about our history, where you will learn about these women, so that you understand the reason why we are so hated in the whole Caribbean is because there are 15 Caribbean nations. They're all colonized, except Haiti still owns land, as Dr. Pierre was saying. And they've got to take that land because this Neanderthal can never have enough.
And with the most, and there's 11 million Haitians. We're the most populous Caribbean, one of the most populous.
That's
Caribbean.
right. Even though we're part of CARICOM and we're 60% of the population, CARICOM, our own supposedly Black brothers, discriminate. So Haitians don't have visas, but all of them have visas. We're the one they're discriminated against, right? Because they have that colonial mindset. They're sitting around drinking tea and saying "Hail to the Queen." All right.
Yes.
So the 3 Èzili principles for a new world. This is for the next generation. If you're working within the system, in the Americas, 1 American passport, 1 minimum wage, and Haiti can never be this republic. Dessalines created an empire of liberty. I want every Haitian to understand that. It wasn't a republic that's corporatized, where all the money is controlled by the Westerners and their National Bank of Settlements, and you have a president. I represented a president who was legitimately elected. So it doesn't matter whether you're legitimate or a puppet. Right. He couldn't do anything because he didn't control the economy. It was controlled by the Syrian overseers who work for, outsourced by the corporatocracy. So let's understand that structure, okay? And I can't stop saying to Pan-Africanists, stop talking about organizing the masses. That's the most retarded thing I've ever heard. All right? As a corporate lawyer, I always say, this man created something called the artificial legal entity, and it has more rights than human beings. So while you're organizing, 8 billion people in the world to counteract these 1%, they're laughing at you because 5 men in America right now have more power than the United States of America. Let's just do Elon Musk, who just the other day, and nobody talks about it. He stopped an attack on Ukraine with his Starlink by shutting it down. And yet, these Neanderthals are going to all these African nations and saying, don't be with Russia, otherwise we're going to sanction you. What are they doing with Elon Musk?
I am one who says, let's reach the masses, right? And I would like to have that conversation in a different episode, probably a different space, right? Because we have the Emerging Alkebulan already said they want you to be on their series. So maybe we can have that conversation there where you can talk to us. If the strategy is not the masses, how exactly do we go about it? We would love to have that conversation. Also, though, you mentioned the 6 sessions that you have to teach this history and speak about these powerful warriors, the women. Please do provide where that is done. And Dr. Pierre, please provide how people can reach you while I go to some of the questions. But Mama Dantò, please, let us know where we can come for these lessons. Let us know how Kumbukeni can help, and let us know how the masses, the African people, can help, please.
So when I realized as a lawyer that I couldn't go to court because I didn't have the resources and they would paper me to death and make me sick, I put together 6, and there are times like the August 14th during the revolution, Dessalines on September, January 1st, which is our Independence Day. We studied the 1805 Haitian Constitution, which I would like all of you to study. It is above anything that any of these Black collaborators. Now remember, we have two spiritual trends. You're either Toussaint or Dessalines. This is what I teach. You're either Malcolm X or Dr. King. At the end of the day, the Neanderthal is going to kill both of them. But they each have a different method of fighting, right? My method is Dessalines, Garvey, and Malcolm X. Others do different things, right? I don't integrate with injustice in any ways because Dessalines did not. But it is a trend that we have to understand. It comes out of Dahomey. It comes out of our spiritual ways. It's an alada. We have in Vodun two sections, right? It's Petwo and Rada, but you need both. You have to be able to figure out how to integrate both and go forward, right? You know that Toussaint is the template that the Napoleon killed because Toussaint stood for Black rule French colony. He wasn't going to let it be independent, at least for that moment. Maybe if he had lived longer, right? Because he had given Girard, this American captain, money to go get arms. So we don't know. But he stood for Black ruled French colony. They killed him for that because they couldn't even imagine being at the same level of ruling with a Black man. But that is the template that's in all those 54 African nations right now. That's template in CARICOM. That is a Toussaint Louverture template. Now, the template that I stand for, that Haitians died for, that we're fighting for right now, is Jean-Jacques Dessalines, and he stood for Black Rule Independent Nation. That's a period, not a comma. Black Rule Independent Nation. We do not integrate with injustice. As a matter of fact, we started a philosophy, a way of looking at Black that is totally different from racist vision that you must understand by looking at the 1805 Constitution. Because the few tiny Caucasians who fought with us against Napoleon's forces, they became Black. Because Dessalines defined Black as warriorship. Understand that. It's in the 1805 Constitution. Go look for it. As for white women who are looking about feminism, okay, that Constitution from a slave who was beaten since he was a little boy. In that Constitution, he provides white women with rights that they didn't have in Jacobin France. As a matter of fact, they burnt Olympia, forgot her name, right? Guillotine her, right?
Yes.
Jean-Jacques Dessalines' Constitution allowed for white women to own property in Haiti and said there is no mulatto, there is no mixed race, there's no white. If you're Haitian, you are a warrior and you are Black. I will leave you guys with that. Oh,
thank you. Yes, we had to find you in the classes.
Yeah, we freed millions of people by this revolution, including 5 Latin American countries who came back to hit us in the back with Minister. But we freed that. So we have freed America. And when Dessalines did his first act of independence, knowing the genocide of the Spanish and the conquistadors and all of them, he said, I have avenged America. That, Black people, is who you are. You can claim this legacy because he created what he said was an empire of liberty that had no boundaries. Thank you.
You are giving me chills, but thank you very much, Mama Dantò. Thank you. And I'll stop calling you doctor, unless you insist that I do call you doctor, Sister Pierre.
I don't need that.
Thank you. I think accepting you as African family is much more honorable, and I know I can tell from your energy that would be much more honorable for you, Sister Pierre. Please.
Last words.
Last words.
I it's so hard to follow Sister Èzili Dantò. I just, I want us to really take the time and really think about where we are as Africans in the world today, how it is that we're so, globally positioned at the bottom of every hierarchy there is, and how it is that we've allowed this to happen. And I want us to actually take control of our destinies, take control of our histories, really look to see what the West has done and continues to do. Yeah. And even now today, you see who the West stands with, right? As Israel, for example, is killing, bombing Palestine, the entire white West is standing for settler colonialism, right, including your president, Kenyans, exactly. Ruto. So when you have Ruto stand up for settler colonialism, Ruto stand up for white supremacy, we have to think that there's something wrong also with the ways that we are being educated, with the ways that we don't know enough. And I think the first thing to do is to always question when the US, the biggest gangster empire in the history right now, is saying that it's doing something, you should always question that. You should always think that it's the opposite. And I hope we come to terms with the reality that the white West, the white supremacist West, is not our friend, will never be our friend, will always be out to colonize us and enslave us. But I think that's the way to think about what's going on in Haiti, how Haiti is being represented, and how that we should not allow ourselves to be used for imperialism's end. And I hope that Africans will remember their history, will look out across the Atlantic and see their brothers and sisters in Haiti struggling, been holding on, who've been fighting for 219 years against these Europeans. And I hope that they take that as, you know, a legacy that they also want to claim. And I hope that Kenyans in Kenya will stop this this thing from happening.
Reactionary.
It's up to you.
Yes.
That's all.
My brothers.
Viva Haiti, Viva Africa, a luta continua, as Samara Machel used to like saying.
I would leave the final word to Michel Rolfe-Trouillot in his book, Silencing the Past, when he says the ultimate mark of power may be its invisibility. The ultimate challenge there is the exposition of its roots. And I think the two sisters have exposed the roots of that power of the United States in Haiti today. Thank you very much for coming through.
Thank you so much for having us.
You are both a blessing. We will be with you, and Haiti has friends in us and the many people that you see in the comments, and many people, many Africans. You might not see them, just like Haiti, you do not hear them, right? You have brothers and sisters in Africa who will stand with you. We thank you both for being with us. We will continue the conversations and continue teaching the history in other spaces. Mama Dantò, I'll follow up with you so that we can get that information on how to come for the classes. Thank you everyone for coming. Again, if you want to send us and get information, our email is kumbukeni1@gmail.com. If you want to join our Patreon family, we will be starting the journalism sessions where we all train on how to critically analyze this propaganda that the Western media puts out, right? We will be doing that on Patreon. Our Patreon membership, you can join from $3 onwards. It depends on what your capability is. We don't follow the rules of Patreon in that way. So just pay what you can. Patreon.com/Kumbukeni. And on YouTube here, please subscribe, youtube.com/@Kumbukeni1. This video must be shared. Not so that Kumbukeni can grow, but so that the message can get to the people. We need to rise up. We are at war. Asanteni, kwaherini.
Udaro.
Honor and respect.
Thank you.